Hello everyone, we meet again in session 5, Landscape Planting Guidelines. The aim is to enhance in all ways possible the routes of movement and the usable area of the site. The following time-tested principles are: preserve the existing vegetation. Buildings and area are to be fit amid the natural growth and landscape continuity, and scenic quality will thus be assured. The cost of site installation and maintenance will be reduced. Select each plant to serve its intended function. For example, light shade here, screen unsightly billboard, cast tree silhouette on wall, use ground cover and spring bulbs in foreground, and frame valley view. Example of planting proposes. This is the example of planting proposes. Plants for background, plant as act as silhouette, planting proposed their shadow, and planting for foregrounds. Trees are the basic. If tree selection and placement are sound, the site framework is well established. Often, little additional planting will be needed. Group trees to simulate natural stands. Use canopy trees to unify the site. Install intermediate trees for understory screening. Windbreak and visual interest. Utilize shrubs for supplementary low-level baffles and screens. To give more detail about planting guidelines, we have to know too about types of trees. Canopy trees, for example. These include the taller shade and forest species that, alone or together, form a high foliage crown. Use canopy trees to filter the sun, soften architectural lines, set the landscape theme, unify the area, and provide a spatial ceiling. Intermediate trees. This is lower deciduous and coniferous species with foliage extending from near the ground plane to at least eye high. Install intermediate trees in the open or understory for screening, backdrop, and visual interest. A sparse grove of well-placed trees can unify and give refreshing relief to a building group or compound. Treat vines as nets and draperies. Install ground covers on the base plane to retain soils and soil moisture, define path and use areas, and provide turf where required. In all extensive tree plantings, select a theme tree, from 3 to 5 supporting secondary trees, and a limit palette of supplementary species for spatial conditions and effects. Choose as the dominant theme tree a type that is indigenous, moderately fast-growing, and able to thrive with little care. If you want more natural feeling for plants arrangement, you should give regular spacing, or the placement of more than 2 trees in one line. Distances depend upon tree types and whether freestanding specimen or an interlaced canopy is desired. How about vines and ground covers? These plants vary from woody to herbaceous, from deciduous to evergreen, from succulent to grasses. Selection of those ground covers will provide superior usage for erosion control, soil moisture retention, naturalized foregrounds, lawns and playing surfaces, and for maintenance reduction. The term shrubs Shrubs are woody perennial plants, usually smaller than a tree, with multiple stems branching from or near the ground. Utilize shrub for supplementary low-level screening and for their interest of form, foliage, flowers, and fruit. They may also be used as natural and sparingly as trim hedges. These are the illustrations for new planting installations. Intermediate trees and shrubs are the place, plane, and alignment diviners. Use them to reinforce the lines and forms of the plant. Trees provide shades and interest along walks and bikeways. Install screen plantings adjacent to traffic ways to reduce noise and glare. The random spacing of trees is suited to the naturalized landscape, as for park and recreation areas and reforestation. Often a blend of indigenous, nursery, and permanent species produces the best stand. Trees in a single or double row have strong visual impact. This arrangement is therefore best reserved for the urban or built environment. In the more natural landscape, an offset regular tree line is usually preferred. The geometric spacing of canopy trees creates spacious architectural rooms. This is more appropriate in level, geometric courtyards of civic monumental character. Create a harbor-like entrance portal to each neighborhood, and keep the sight lines clear at traffic intersections. Plants combined with mounding can hide parking and service areas. Landscape construction and planting can occur outside of the street right-of-way where space is limited and a landscape easement provided. Combine planting with earth shaping to create landscape interest. Plants are well used to accentuate landform and intensify landscape power. Avoid monotonous edges in roadside and other plantings. Undulation in both the horizontal alignment and vertical profile add landscape appeal. Strengthen the building closure and traffic way modes with trees of more structural characters. Plants can soften the ground plane, and trees can create outdoor rooms. Pay attention to the sectional illustration guidelines for planting primary, secondary, and supplementary plants. Notice where the electric pole should be placed. Usually we see that in line with trees. And because of that, electric cable can be disturbed by the growth of foliage. This illustration shows common cases in the city that not incorporated the use of root barrier. Trees that are planted too close to a slab or any kind of masonry will root there and will eventually crack or buckle under pressure. Trees in a grass area produce surface roots that compete with grass after water, so it needs a root barrier. The result is like picture on the left. In a landscape project such as this in Alumni Valley, you can see a good illustration of how planting can show certain purpose. The area in green color inform the future design. This is the existing image of Alumni Valley. This is the zoom in of the design, after and before image. The Alumni Valley planning on using their land for several purposes, hay amphitheater, and a lawn for events. And this is the other zoom in. The after and before image also shows certain places are still intact in the original setting. This is the detailed illustration of how the landscape will perform. Notice the use of tree images that are in original color to their habitat. You can see there are several illustrations, just like in architectural project. It can be drawn in axonometric and top projection to show several themes of the area. This is a closer look into how the pond in Alumni Valley will be built. This is also an example of how site planting are really put into consideration. Maya Ubud Resorts is trying to show as natural as possible the hospitality in the rice field and tropical jungle at once. The pool, for example, located by design in a steep slope so that guests can enjoy the sound and view of natural water far below the infinity pool. And you can use steep slope to put staggering design. Indeed, with huge effort and careful consideration in safety. But the technology is not impossible. It is possible, like you see in this picture. This is the end of session 5. Thank you for your attention during all the session.